Hello, everyone. It seems we are live. Welcome to the first Vegan FTA stream where we're going to be covering some of the news. We're going to be looking at some outreach. I'm here with Kenny today. Hello, Kenny.
Evening, everybody. How's it going?
We've already got people in the chat, so that is fantastic. People over on YouTube. Hello, Animal Liberationist. Hello, a friendo. Where is everybody? That's fine. People will come on in. And yeah, we've got some news stories today. These come from veganfta.com. If you don't know, we do have articles available. You can sign up to a newsletter so that you can keep up to date with everything. And yeah, let's go through the first article. This is contrary to what haters might say about veganism. Supermarkets are seeing the return of the vegan shopper as plant-based sales increase. This is at least for Germany. The supermarket chain Lidl has reported an increase in vegan sales of 30% in its stores in Germany. It occurred after it brought the price of plant-based products in line with their non-vegan traditional versions. So that's interesting. We're seeing the prices of the vegan versions actually drop, which is interesting because we don't have the subsidies like animal agriculture does. Do you want to explain subsidies briefly to anyone who doesn't know what that is?
Yeah, essentially like the government are lobbied essentially by the industries, and they receive as what's effectively donations from the government, and it's by no small amount, usually billions, like tens of billions in America anyway, and the UK it's in the billions, and that brings down the prices of the products, and the reality is that if the subsidies weren't there, the products would be, not only would the products be extortionate, but the individuals producing them wouldn't be making a living off of them either.
Yeah, so it's essentially like a hidden tax. You are paying more than you think you are for animal products, which is, fantastic. On the 4th of March 2024, another supermarket chain, Tesco, that's a popular one in the UK, published a report titled The Return of the Plant-Based Shopper as Fans Move into Scratch Cooking, in which it revealed that the plant-based food revolution is moving into its second phase, with Tesco seeing rising volume demand for meat-free ingredients and whole cuts. Tesco saw fish alternatives up by 100% versus last year over the previous 3 months. Tofu and tempeh up around 20%, plant-based steaks and chicken breasts up by 20%, and meat-free burgers up by 10%. Also, 40% of Tesco's customers polled are eating more vegetables now than they did 5 years ago. Other findings showed that 73% say they now eat more greens, 68% eat more root veg like carrots and sweet potato, and 62% eat more salad veg such as lettuce and peppers. So maybe maybe people are just being healthier and not so much plant-based. Is that cynical of me to say?
That's a shame that there won't be a balance of cynical versus non-cynical here, because I had the similar sort of thought. Like, yeah, I'm wondering if it's really obviously a part of this will be thanks to there being more vegans, but I feel like some of it, and potentially a lot of it, will have to do with like people just being more informed and more health conscious, maybe even more environmentally conscious, and all these things. It's probably a reflection on all of the above, really. Vegans as well. Like, what do people in the chat think? Like, drop a little comment about what you suspect. But I mean, at least it's moving in that direction, I guess. Like, this is the trend that we want to see, of course.
Mm-hmm. Here's a quote: "Plant-based food has been the biggest culinary trend so far this century and attracted interest from vegans, vegetarians, and meat eaters alike who are curious as to what the fuss was all about. These latest sales figures show they're doing that by cooking from scratch." So their theory is that people are cooking from scratch and doing plant-based dishes. And obviously, if it is the case, as it is with Lidl, that people are buying more of these plant-based products. Maybe they're cooking from scratch and then adding these plant-based products instead. And I thought it was interesting because it was a thing in the vegan movement to have a great distaste that putting vegan products next to flesh would be something that, because you know, you want to go into a supermarket, you don't want to see the flesh. Like, that is the last thing you want to see when you're a vegan. But my speculation was that if it's closer to where people usually shop, if it's down the aisles they usually go, then they'll probably purchase it more so than they would if it's kind of like shoved in a plant-based corner. And it seems that theory might be correct.
Yeah. My lazy side loves the plant-based corner, right?
Yeah, same.
It's so great. However, like, if there was solid data that would show us like the plant-based products all sell more when they're in amongst like products that aren't plant-based, if that's the solid like consensus, then I would be obviously I would be happy with that. Like, I would put up with it. But yeah, I love that, seeing that plant-based and vegetarian big sort of banner in Tesco, you can just walk right to it. But
I know, you get everything you want. Absolutely.
Whatever's for the best, like, we should do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any more thoughts on this one, or are we ready to move on to the next article?
I think that's all my thoughts. What about you?
Yeah, I am happy with that one. I think it's fantastic that it's rising. Obviously, it's based upon polling and surveys, and but obviously they're going to share if things are more popular than they were previously, and then that will mean probably that then more plant-based products come out, then the price gets cheaper. It is this kind of like effect that will benefit then the consumer, and then the consumer will be more likely to actually just consume these plant-based products and not complain about, oh, it's too expensive. Like, I would do it, but if you can say, oh, it's the same price, oh, it's cheaper, it's one less rubbish excuse, basically. But yeah, everyone who's in the chat, thank you so much. Just so you know, this is streaming on Facebook and it's streaming on YouTube. Please make sure, if you're watching on one, that you are subscribed and following the other. We appreciate the support. And if you haven't seen, if you would like to donate to Vegan FTA, you can do during this stream, and we'll read out your comment. So if you have some pennies to spare, it will go to Vegan FTA, it will go to our outreach, it will go to us posting all these articles, everything that we do. So thank you so much. Let's now go on to this one. This one is actually kind of in the title. Can vegans not eat coconuts? UK supermarket co-op drops Thai coconut milk in its own brand products because of monkey exploitation. Kenny actually was talking to me about this. He was like, did you see this? And I'd heard about it briefly before, but I didn't know it was a specific known thing for a specific country.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts when you saw this? It's just ridiculous.
It literally just blew my mind, like completely blew my mind. I'm never, like, the fascination never really ends with the ways in which we exploit animals, but they're literally, like, when you look at the image, they're literally like enslaved individuals, aren't they? Like, look at
chained
them,
up.
To provide like labor. It's quite fascinating that they're doing that with non-humans. I don't really consume much like coconut milk at all.
Me
anyway,
neither. No, but
it begs the question: how many of them involve that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the UK supermarket chain Co-op has agreed not to source coconut milk from Thailand because of the common exploitation of monkeys in the country's coconut industry. It would be interesting to have a source of just what the ratio is, because if it's common, then it makes it sound like it's like a 60-70% at least kind of occurrence. From now on, Co-op's own brand coconut milk will now be sourced from Sri Lanka, where monkey labor is not used to harvest coconuts, as in Thailand, and it will be going into the 2,400 UK stores. The animal rights organization PETA, which has been campaigning on this issue for years, asked the company to extend this policy to include branded Thai coconut milk products and urges everyone to avoid buying any coconut products sourced from Thailand due to the rampant abuse involved in their production. So PETA were involved in this. Shows the power of investigations, really, and then pressuring companies, because if they didn't, then firstly, how would a company even know? And then how would a company take action? They wouldn't really be incentivized to do so unless they had a good heart.
Yeah. And that drips down to like all the way down to consumer as well. Like with veganism, like we can only really act on what we know, and these like supply chains are so murky. But that's a really important answer to my sort of concern earlier on, like how common is this? Like for people that love coconut milk, I guess, like, do all products have maybe somewhere on the can that will say from Thailand or made in Thailand? Or I feel like most products have that information on them.
Yes, most do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something to look out for, vegans that are watching with your coconut milk.
Yeah, PETA Asia's third investigation, conducted from December 2021 to July 2022, exposed coconut pickers, brokers, farms, and monkey training operations in 9 Thai provinces, including top producing ones. One trainer was recorded dangling a screaming monkey by the neck and striking him with a tether. A monkey used for breeding was kept chained alone in the sun without access to water, and other young monkeys languished in cramped cages. So that's pretty freaking horrible.
Yeah, like accurate with the statement rampant abuse, right? Like that's intense.
Mm-hmm. It makes you wonder, like, what other products. I know coconuts have been like that, they've been lambasted in the past, and rightfully so. But it does make you wonder, like, how many seemingly plant-based foods, seemingly acceptable for vegans, are actually not.
Yeah, that's exactly the issue. But again, like we can only act on what we know. So big thanks to Jordy from Vegan FTA for bringing it
for
up.
exposing it. Yeah, absolutely. All these articles are written by Jordy. So yeah, definitely check out these articles. They are available on veganfta.com. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Let's go. This one is probably people already know about this one, but we thought it would be poignant because Jordy mentions in the article one of the tweets from the owners, quote, of these horses. So yeah, 2 army horses were seriously injured after bolting in London, UK. On the 24th of April, so this was a little while ago now, 7 horses ridden by British household cavalry soldiers were spooked by a loud noise, and 4 threw off their riders and ran through the city. 2 of the horses, as we saw in all those pictures, they sustained serious injuries after colliding with vehicles, and they were operated on. And you probably saw the images. They circled everywhere. If you are kind of in the vegan movement, yeah, you probably saw the pictures. But we thought it would be poignant to bring up the British Army tweet. An update following the incident yesterday, where some of our horses were spooked in central London. All 3 soldiers involved are expected to recover fully and return to duty. So they mention the soldiers first.
Standard.
Oh, don't worry, the people are fine.
It's absolute standard, isn't it?
Absolute standard. Of the 7 horses which were spooked, 5 tried to bolt, and 4, Vida, Trojan, Quaker, and Tennyson, broke loose. 2 of the injured horses were operated on last night, with one transferred to an equine hospital. All remaining horses are being closely observed. Our horses received the highest standards of care, and those that did not undergo surgery are expected to return to duty in due course. We want to thank everyone who's shown such kindness and concern towards our soldiers and horses. We will provide more updates soon. So they're back. They're back to duty. They're back to the duty that they really want to be part of.
Don't you think viewing this stuff as a non-vegan and reading this stuff, it, like, just goes to show like how insane the non-vegan mindset is. Like, it blows your mind on it after you've left that sphere. Like, the first thing, what is it they say again? Yeah, they receive the highest standards of care. Yeah,
they have to put it in there. They have to put it in there, don't they? Oh, don't worry, they are being looked after.
Yeah, because it's quite normal for animals, non-human animals that are in really high standards of care, to be in an environment where they could be spooked and sustain serious injuries from like vehicles. Like, that's totally normal. And then the return to duty thing. It's like, where's the, like, duty insinuates to me anyway. It's like the purpose that you've like chosen, right? Like, return to duty. Like, yeah, because the horses are in agreement that this is their duty, or the horses are willing to partake in whatever it is the British Army have got them partaking in. Like, it just insinuates so many like inaccurate things to me.
Yeah, it insinuates consent and full awareness, just all these things that the animals cannot give. And it's just like, it's so clear when you have the vegan perspective. It's so clear that, oh, this cannot be the case. So why you're even saying it sounds suspicious. It sounds like they're aware that they're doing something. It sounds like intentionally trying to downplay. Oh yeah. But yeah, just absolutely ridiculous. And there is a petition.
Oh yeah.
No, what I'll do is I'll put the link to the article in the chat for everybody. Please go over, because there is a petition attached. Do you want to talk about the petition at all?
Can you scroll? Oh yeah, it's in here. Sign petition to send the escaped military horses to a sanctuary. Yeah, that's the important part, right? It's like, this is what they deserve. No duty. Do you know what I mean? Return to duty, as if the horses are like waking up in the morning like, I can't wait to go to work today. I love my job. Yeah, the only right thing to do with these unfortunately domesticated animals is to have them live in sanctuary and leave them alone. So if you want to have your voice heard as a vegan about that, you want them to go to a sanctuary, sign the petition.
Sign the petition. And yes, this is live. Hello, Bianca. It is indeed live. We're coming at you live. So if you have comments, then please leave them in the chat. We will read them. So yeah, please get involved. We're doing some news stories, and then we're going to react to a video by Earthling Ed. So yeah, come along, get cozy. Are we ready for the next one? This one's actually kind of like lighthearted and funny instead.
Oh, we've got another one as well. Sick.
Yeah, we got the other one. We got the scones. Oh yeah. Oh wait, Kenny, is it scone or scone?
I would say scones.
Would you? I got told off in Scotland for saying scone. They're like, scone.
Thanos just grunting there.
I heard that.
I would say scones, I think.
Okay, scone. Okay, red-faced anti-vegans learn that scones served at the UK National Trust attractions have been vegan for years, and obviously, yes, they are indeed red-faced. Imagine getting mad about this. Okay. People who moaned in anti-vegan reactionary newspapers such as the Daily Mail about using vegetable spread rather than butter in the plant-based scones served at National Trust's cafes have ended up red-faced when they've learned that the famous scones have been vegan for years. The cafes of many National Trust sites, the major UK landowners owning historical buildings and parks, have been serving traditional scones, a kind of traditional British sweet bread baked on a griddle or sheet. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm not massive on them. They're all right. They're very British though. More than 3 million are sold every year. Oh my God. And they're all vegan, each one of them, including those served with cream teas at 300 plus tea rooms. However, some people feel that perhaps since the National Trust banned trail hunting on its land in 2021, the British institution has gone woke. It's gone woke.
I love that.
A recent compliant who was a long-time National Trust member from Bury St Edmunds told the Daily Mail, "I can't stand the taste of the new scones. They are not like traditional ones at all. They are flatter, drier, and have unappealing texture." Wonder if I liked them a few years ago.
That's just scones, by the way.
Yeah, they're flat, dry, and unappealing.
It's just that scones suck.
Another one said, "It makes me wonder what will happen next. Will they stop selling Madeira cake because of historical events in Madeira? There's far too much wokery going on in the National Trust. This is just the latest example." These people may now be embarrassed when they read the reply of the National Trust. Celia Richardson, the National Trust Director of Communications, said on X, "The culture warriors have reached the gates of the Citadel. Now our scones are secretly woke. If you come for our scones, you best not miss. National Trust scones have been made without butter for many years, and we publish all of our recipes."
Yeah. So not only have they just been plant-based for years, but like anybody could have found that out. I love that. Like, let's say they weren't plant-based and then they decided to make them plant-based. Like, let's say that was true, and the fact that they're like, "Oh, it's woke. There's too much wokery going on." It's like, just replace the word woke with like better, morally.
Like, things are improving and I'm unhappy about it.
Yeah. It's like, just replace the term woke with like started caring more. And then it just sounds as insane as it is. Like, come on, man. Come on. This broccoli's vegan? Woke broccoli. Horrible woke broccoli. Broccoli is destroyed. Like, yeah, broccoli's always been plant-based. The scones have always been plant-based.
Bread is typically plant-based. Pasta's typically plant-based. Woke pasta.
Yeah, you can like add, what I'm trying to say, is like you can add the word vegan onto something that's always been vegan friendly, and these people will just lose it.
They get upset. If you say vegan water, they're not drinking it.
Yeah, they'll die of thirst before they drink vegan water. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Oh, we got some comments in the chat. Can you see any that you
sorry. I'm not really.
There's a comment. Since cows naturally only eat grass and hay, they should be classified as plant-based food. How do you figure that one out? If you were to kill me and consume me, it would be plant-based. I think you need to use Google for better means. Just think, Kenny, if someone kills and eats us, it's vegan. I love that.
Yeah, I've seen that that idea floating around the sort of non-vegan like sphere. There's been plenty of memes made with that idea, but yeah, like quite obviously the issue is with harming the individual, like. But cool.
Yeah, well, Mary, I'm imagining with a comment like that, you are not vegan. Is there a reason why you're not? Maybe we could go through it. That would be interesting. We'd love to hear it.
That would be very interesting.
That would be very intriguing. Are you ready for the reaction video?
Yeah, and I haven't seen a mere millisecond of it, so that'll be cool. Let's go.
Let's go. I'll say, so we got this one from Earthling Ed called "Is Pushing Veganism Offensive?" We've scrolled ahead slightly because this is where the conversation actually begins. If you have any comments, then please leave them in the chat. We'll keep an eye on the comments and we will watch this video. Are you ready, Kenny?
I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Tell me when to pause, okay? Just whenever you fancy.
Just scream at you when I want to pause.
Yeah, be like, please. Okay, let's go.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Ed, and today I'm at UCSD with a banner that says, "Give me your best argument for not being vegan." Just firstly, thank you so much for sitting down. I really appreciate it. But now I suppose I'm interested to know what your response is to the banner.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think most of my diet is already pretty plant-based.
Oh, wow, good for you.
I do incorporate, like, I do have chicken once a day, though. And I think, like, it's good to, at least for me, you know, with regards.
Chicken once a day, but mostly plant-based.
Yeah. What always fascinates me, by the way, is that Ed starts off by saying, please give me your best argument. It's like they all missed the memo on the fact that the argument's supposed to be of high quality.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like the first one that they can find, really.
Well, we'll see what his argument is.
Yeah,
it's good to find the balance. But yeah, you know, I'd definitely be open to veganism. I think it's really interesting the potential benefits it has. I think in an effort to fight climate change, it would be a good first step for me. Just, you know,
Kenny, I see your head there moving. Was it the climate change mention?
Well, I'm just waiting for him to. I guess right now he's like expressing what he thinks veganism is. It's quite obvious that he thinks that it's a diet, right? Like he's once said, I'm quite interested in like the benefits of it, and not even for a single second has he considered animals yet. Not
quite yet. We will see. Hey,
yeah,
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a really important point, which is the sustainability benefits of plant-based diet, which are so significant and so fantastic. So it's great you're aware of that. But for the purposes of these discussions, what I really like is talking about animals, because I think it creates a bit more of a free-flowing kind of conversation. So do you think that what we do to animals is a moral concern?
Yeah, you know, I think, honestly, this may not sound like the nicest thing, but for me, I'm not living on the farm where I'm witnessing the animal being killed.
Yeah.
I just get the food in the supermarket. So it doesn't really like mentally hit me, you know, what's going on.
This is more of an honest response than a logical one. Like, this is more, you know, of course, then when you're not connected to the victim, you purchasing something just feels like purchasing something. It doesn't feel like a direct like killing or exploitation has happened on your behalf. So of course, when you have that disconnect, it's further away from you. And one could maybe, you know, speculate that the companies do that on purpose, so that you don't have to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like we know that as vegans, and that's like a fair, like, nobody would be mad at someone for saying that, because we know this to be basically standard for everybody, and that's why we do like when we're doing outreach and the screens are there, or when we do online activism and we're actually showing the exposés. Like, that's why we're doing that, man. Like, we're the only people showing the truth, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of sight and out of mind, right?
Yeah. But I think, you know, when you consider some of the living conditions they're placed in, right, and the fact that you're breeding an animal to create more future product for you, and then you may eventually separate it from its family, those are some personal things I wonder, you know, how that may affect the animal individually. So
I mean, yeah, it's a very important thing to think about, isn't it? Like, what their experience is. What is it about an animal that means that some of these things we just described are moral concerns?
I mean, personally, I consider the animals living beings, right? And, you know, it's important to take into consideration that if you want a just and equal society for all humans, maybe why don't consider that same thing for the animals or society as well? And yeah, you know, I think overall,
I don't know how this guy went from the first thing to sounding vegan, but fair enough. Fair enough, mate.
Also, I mean, even if you're looking from a human perspective, some of the conditions we use in farming for animals, where you have the chickens all cooped up, it affects the livestock which we will consume, right? So it may not necessarily
I don't know how he goes from sounding so vegan to sounding so not vegan in such a short space of time.
He's like flipping and flopping between, like
so weird. I'm really hoping that there is a scenario where the thought is touched upon with taking the life of someone who isn't in a horrible situation, and their life is good, and how that would possibly be better. Like, I hope that does get brought up, because it seems like he's focusing a lot on the welfare of the animals as to what the problem is. But he has said a couple of things that literally sound inherently vegan as well. It's really quite strange.
Yeah, if I killed my neighbor's dog, they didn't particularly care whether or not I killed them, but the dog lived a good life. It wouldn't be suddenly okay because they are being treated well.
Exactly.
Like, in some ways, some might make the argument that it's worse. In some ways, people might make the argument that if they suffer a lot beforehand, it's worse. But basically, none of this is going to be very good. So, like, focusing on the treatment is a weird thing to do. I think it's just like the cherry on top, basically, of a very sad cake. Yeah.
Beyond veganism per se, but it's overall just like the way animals are treated in this process, which has a ripple effect on us as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're quite right to point out that there is far-reaching consequences, isn't there? You know, sometimes we don't think about it. We think about things in kind of isolated terms, but when we recognize that there is this kind of sequence of events that affects animals, the planet, but also just kind of like societal health in general, you know, an inability to empathize with non-human animals, I think, is a scary thing for our society. You know, if someone has no compassion towards the other species we share this planet with, I think that's a worrying sign. So I think you're right. There are far-reaching consequences that go beyond just the actual, the actual meat product itself and what that, directly means for those who are harmed in the process. Okay, with that in mind, then, I guess the reason I asked that question about, like, what is it about animals was to establish, that they are, as you say, living beings, conscious beings having subjective experiences. So, they can feel and suffer, experience stress, all of these things that create what we would call like a subjectivity in their experience. Like you and I have subjective, individualistic experiences, as do they. And so with that in mind, one of the reasons why I'm vegan primarily is with the idea that if I can try to reduce the suffering and harm that I cause to others, then that seems like the right thing to do. So in the case of animals, do you think that reducing animal suffering is morally the right thing to do?
I personally do, but then again, like, I don't think I'm in a position to outright say that is the right thing to do. This may just be like my personal opinion.
Sure. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's take an example.
Do you know what I think the problem with that? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now I'm about to criticize an answer from Vegan Jesus, but bear with me for 1 second, please. The issue I think with that response is based on what he said is that then sort of reinforces his position about the I wanted to see a scenario where we dismantled the welfare concern and swapped it out for just the morality, the issue of morality around using and killing the animal entirely. I feel like when you say I've went vegan to reduce suffering and reduce harm caused to the animals, that's in his mind that could run through his mind in a way where it's if the farming standards are better, then his concern is now over. But that's but then I guess all Ed would need to do then is to then bring this guy onto the side of understanding that killing them is harm.
Yeah.
As well. And that solves that. But yeah, I would have probably personally I would have been dying to nip that right there, rather than that wouldn't have been my response. And I feel that's why. And I'm not trying to be you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's so easy as well to just map out that killing someone is generally a bad thing to do. The only time where you could make it maybe acceptable is if someone's coming into your house and trying to kill you and you have no other option, something like that. But generally it's going to be a terrible thing to do to somebody else. So we don't need this the treatment that people bring up, and that shouldn't be what's important to people. I think it's important to people because the animal agriculture industry focuses so much on treatment. Oh, we treat our animals so well. They're so lovely and cared for. They have so much space. So people are really focused on that. When we want to nip that in the bud 100%. Absolutely. Is there anything else, Penny?
Yeah, like to finish that point, I guess like what I would have said in place of that would have been like, well, something along the lines of like, I'm vegan because like I just think it's wrong to do this to them, and I just wouldn't have said something about like the reducing suffering thing. Just would have just said it was just objectively wrong and went with that route. But we'll see how it all transpires just now.
Yeah, let's go.
Example, it's a relatively on the nose example. Let's say that a dog or a cat is walking past now, and one of the members of the audience here decides they want to kick that dog. Now, you and I might think, well, personally, that's immoral. But is it also just bad?
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it was a conversation I had in my AP psychology class.
Oh, yeah.
The difference between ethics and morals. I think, you know, I consider it immoral, and as I think many people here would also consider it immoral. But
isn't it interesting that it's immoral to kick a dog?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not immoral to hang an animal upside down, slit their throat, put them in a gas chamber, exploit them. I'm confused by the realm that one would have to be in, where kicking a dog is bad, but those things aren't.
Yeah,
it's very confusing to me.
And how easy it is to get someone to concede to that. It's instant. It's instant. There's no like struggle to get someone to concede to that point at all.
Yeah, because how could they navigate that at all, except, I don't know, by saying like I just value them as pets or something. But it's like, well, what if the pig's a pet? Like, pigs can be pets apparently. So like you can like have guardianship over like any animal really. So yeah, like I don't know how that works either. But yeah, let's carry on.
Sorry, that's an epic point from Chase. Chase said morality is subjective, but the harm is objective.
Oh, let me get the I can put them on the screen.
Yeah, that's the point, right? It's like it doesn't actually really matter what we don't care if you think it's okay. It's just that who it's happening to doesn't think it's okay. That's what matters.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've got more people joining the chat. Hello, Cliff. Hello,
hey,
everyone.
Cliff.
Hello. Hope you're all okay. Thank you for being here. And a reminder that there is a pinned comment in the YouTube chat. If you'd like to donate to Vegan FCA, we will read out your comment on stream. So thank you so much to anyone who does that. Thank you to anyone who's liking the stream. Please make sure that you are indeed subscribed so that you can you get these live streams and more videos coming out. So please stay tuned for that. Ready to carry on?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
I also believe that attacking an animal is also illegal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, once
attacking an animal is illegal. It depends on the animal.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it depends on the legality, right?
Maybe
I didn't realize that was why it was so easy for him to concede. I'd get in trouble though, wouldn't I, if I did that? Oh, right. I guess I would then.
Yeah.
Draw up the code of ethics that people have all agreed up to, then it's your job to live up to that. So I think with regards to some of the animal cruelty stuff that's happening, if it's not legally defined, I personally don't think that you can outright call it bad. It may just be like a moral thing.
Oh,
just like
I didn't think I was actually right about that. Nobody would say that in their right mind. I didn't think I was actually right about that.
So until things were written into law, they were acceptable morally to do unless the law says don't do it.
Yeah. Like,
can we think of a couple of laws that have been like put in place that weren't previously, like, abuse, like domestic abuse towards a woman was actually legal if you were married to her until I think the 80s in America. So that was actually fine before.
It was when it was legal. It wasn't bad. You can't say it was bad when it was legal. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? This is a concerning.
It's an insane position to take, and for people that have like joined recently, this dude has like made statements. There's sentences that have like come out of this guy's mouth that sounded so vegan, and others that were insanely problematic. But this is like, this is proof of the non-vegan position being all over the place.
It's interesting as well because he's actually taken classes on ethics and morality, like the difference and everything. So he knows, he's probably tested his moral worldview. And you would hope, like you would expect this to come from someone who hasn't really thought about their own ethics. But for someone who has actually had these conversations, to equate legality to their moral compass is most concerning. Yeah. All right, let's carry on.
Legality and ethics or morality, do they go hand in hand? Does legality equal morality?
Please correct yourself.
Yeah, definitely not. Not necessarily, right? We have the civil rights movement.
Thank you. I was getting worried for a second.
I can't believe we didn't. Well, I guess you could say that was him addressing what he just said, but what he just said was so out there. I would have definitely been like, "Excuse me."
Yeah, it's kind of weird that he's saying, "Oh, not necessarily now," because what he said then was blanketly, yeah,
like full on.
And we saw that so many times our laws may not be exactly what we want to achieve as a society. So I think
I think this kind of like goes to show that like people need to have this conversation with people when it comes to veganism because they haven't thought it through, because he fully corrected himself like as soon as he was challenged. But like,
sorry, there you go.
I was just gonna say, it's like he hasn't challenged himself on this before.
What I'm wondering is though that like, because he seems to be like constantly like saying something and then correcting himself though. Like, is he aware that he's corrected himself? Like, I don't know if we haven't really figured out whether he's just ditched his position, his wild position that he just had. We don't know if he's ditched it yet. So it's like he's like, yeah, I guess not, and it's like, cool. So we're gonna go back to that point you made and say that it was wrong, or
yeah, we'll see.
I think with the laws, it's something we can all agree upon and I guess live up to, but you should continue to challenge them and push forward to what you believe in and what stands right with you morally.
Yeah, I mean, we have to look beyond laws, like you say, and like see what we stand for morally. And I guess with the dog, let's say that action did happen. We wouldn't say it's wrong because it's illegal. It's illegal because it's wrong, but it's not wrong because it's illegal. Like, it wasn't okay before it was illegal. You know what I mean? And so whilst we may say that like what we do to animals in like farms and such is legal, that doesn't mean that it's okay simply because it's legal. It doesn't mean that it's not bad just because it's legal. So something can be bad regardless of legal status. And so the reason I suppose I asked about kind of like the kicking of the dog being bad was to establish that outside of our own kind of like personal perspective, there is kind of something that defines it as being bad outside of that. Because obviously people's views of what's good and bad can vary, and someone who has an inability to empathize and is maybe a little bit sociopathic or psychopathic might not think that causing harm to another human is bad, but their personal feeling about it doesn't change the fact that it is bad. And so whilst it's great that we both agree on it, I don't think that means that it's okay if someone disagrees with us and thinks it is okay, because I think we should view what happens from the position of those who have been harmed, because it's a moral issue, there are many examples, of course. So I'm not really sure what the question is from that, but more just to say, do you agree that issues of morality should be viewed from that of the victim rather than the oppressor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a really interesting question. And honestly, I don't really have an answer for that, at least not yet. I think I have to get some more life experience, just think about that.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe...
What life experience would you need to get to like see it from a perspective of a victim? What do you...
until I have been so heavily oppressed, and until something really insanely unfortunate has happened to me that I can relate to it, I'm just not gonna empathize. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Maybe we're speaking past each other a little bit. So I just want to clarify what I'm trying to refer to, what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that when we view issues of morality and we think of justifications for those issues, we don't normally think of the opinion of the oppressor as being important when deciding the morality of something. What I'm trying to say is, is the opinion of the oppressor valid, or is the important element of this dynamic the fact that there is a victim who is suffering as a consequence? You know, animal who isn't willfully presenting their throat to the slaughterman, an animal who has been mutilated against their will. To me, I would say that it's their experience that's more important than the opinion of the person who is benefiting from that victimization or, you know, that harm that's been caused. That's the point I was trying to make.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so he might have like misinterpreted what Ed was saying, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that.
I tend to agree with that.
Here we go. This is exactly what I'm saying. It sounds like, right, he definitely does need more than this conversation. Like, that's like, you could take from that comment that he made that's what he means. Like, he needs to think about it more than just this conversation. But it's clear to me that he's like conceding to the, after you talk it through, you realize it's like basic morality, and it's quite easy to agree or disagree with the points. And he's like conceding to them, but then not changing his position wildly. That's that, and that's what I said earlier on. It's like he's willing to be like, oh yeah, I see what you mean, but he's not like actually abandoning his like previous position.
Yeah, like I'm not quite sure of what his actual position is. So yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah. I think it's a little difficult in the case of animals. I'm not sure how you could measure suffering for them, whereas with the human, you have the verbal kind of.
No, even if you like, even if we verbalize when we're suffering, you can't like properly measure that. Like, there isn't like 300 megatons of suffering that is experienced by someone who suffers from depression. Like, you don't know that. Yeah, like it doesn't, you can't measure that like empirically or anything like that. Like, you can have a, you know, a kind of a spectrum of, I'm suffering a lot, I'm suffering a little bit, but that's not an accurate measurement. And I'm sorry, but like, the animals verbalize as well. They scream. Exactly. They bellow out for their babies who are taken away from them. Like, so how is that actually harder? Like, the only thing they can't say is obviously, I'm in pain right now, but they express in ways that demonstrate that they are probably experiencing pain. Just like someone could say, I'm in pain right now, and they could be lying. You just take it to be the case that, okay, they're expressing pain symptoms. It's like, it's the same in the non-human animal context.
Yeah, Cliff Grant says veganism has nothing to do with suffering, and it was like we ended up straight on that point basically really early on in this and discussed that because this guy's position was a lot to do with like he's concerned with how the animals are treated, and doesn't feel like we've got to that point yet where it's like, does he realize it's just wrong inherently even if they don't suffer? And then like what Chase says, like some humans are non-verbal. They don't suffer though, Chase.
Yeah, if they can't say it, if they can't tell you, then apparently they're not suffering. Like,
they're not suffering, man. Don't worry.
Like,
stop worrying about them. They're not suffering.
I've worked with people in the past who are non-verbal, you know, in a hospital, and I could tell that they were indeed suffering. They didn't have to tell me. It's just there's other responses. So yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
I mean, it's interesting you say that, but we still can't quantify it. We still can't measure it. You know, I could stab you and you could say, that really hurts, but I have no idea like how much you're suffering compared to me. So we actually don't know how much each other suffers. And it's the same with animals. Sure, we don't know how intense that experience is compared to our own. Could be worse, could be less severe. But we do know that they vocalize. You know, that they try to escape. And even those animals who can't, you know, vocalize, like fish, for example, you know, they have a biological response much similar to our own, a release of hormones, you know, a change in respiratory rates, dilation of the pupils, erratic behaviors. There are things that happen that we also demonstrate in situations like anxiety or fear or suffering and pain, which we can see within them. So whilst we can't grade it, we know that there is an experience that is occurring and that experience is negative. And so that's all that's really relevant. You know, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with what you're saying here. And if we can measure a level of suffering, then we do have to question, you know, the actions we're taking towards this being, and is this the right thing to do?
Why do you have to measure the suffering before you question whether or not it's the right thing to kill an animal? You literally conceded to kicking a dog being morally wrong. Do you need to measure how much that hurt the dog before you go, oh no, this is wrong? No, you don't, because you've already conceded that it's immoral. So this is nonsense. This is just kind of like excuses trying to be brought up. Now, obviously, I don't know if that's actually what he's doing, but it doesn't compute with the rest of what he said. So it kind of leads one to speculate that is what's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree a lot with a lot of the comments in the chat actually about this, and that's why I said it right at the start. It feels like there's been a tone set for this conversation, because like his worry and concern and stuff with like welfare was like quite early on, like confirmed as the issue. It doesn't feel like we've sort of like been able to shift that yet. I really hope that is the case at some point.
Right, let's see.
As a society.
Yeah. Do you think it's the right thing for us to do as a society?
Yeah, it's tough to think about that, because historically, right, before like time, or like BC, right, people have been consuming meat, and it's just been such a part of culture.
Yeah.
I think under that thing, like, people would consider that if we were to promote veganism as a society or as a country, maybe even make it a law, right? It might be a little extreme, but people would take that as an offense to them almost, right? So you do have that in mind, but you do have to, ask yourselves, like, the current practices we're doing right now that may be causing harm that we don't want to be doing in our society. And so people have to have these conversations, just like, as a society, what is the right thing to move forward?
I mean, yeah, you're so right, isn't it? Culture and history really drives our behaviors, doesn't it? But sometimes we have to look beyond that, because all culture is really in traditions. All they are practices and behaviors that we've done for a long time. And I guess the follow-up question to that is something moral or acceptable simply because it's happened for a long time?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't, not necessarily.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, it's a fairly obvious one. It's just important to say it.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I guess, obviously there's a long history of us eating animals, a long history of us eating animals. That aside, is that relevant now? If we can choose to do something that our ancestors couldn't choose, then regardless of what position they found themselves in, all that matters is the position that we find ourselves in. And for us, if it's a choice, then we have the choice between choosing to cause suffering or choosing to reduce suffering. And I suppose if it is a choice, then why would we choose to be unnecessarily cruel?
Yeah, I mean, like, you brought up racism, right? And I think, like, sometimes people can just like draw it up to culture, like, this is what we've done for so many years. This is how it's been.
Epic comment from Cliff Grant.
Change.
Yeah.
Epic
tradition is peer pressure from dead people.
That's an incredible statement, Cliff.
Yeah. I've seen a meme of that a couple of times, and it just gets me every time, because it really is like, just I don't understand personally the what's the word I'm looking for? The appeal of tradition, if it's going to harm others, if it's going to exploit others, if it's going to use others in such a way and kill others. Then why are we engaging in it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think a vegan individual might be someone that is more prone to like going against the grain anyway. So it's like tradition's not something that you've potentially with a lot of vegans like really concerned yourself with anyway.
Yeah. Typically the kind of vegan person is going to be someone who goes like in a fringe, kind of against the grain, doesn't really understand, like me, who doesn't really understand why tradition would be so appealing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I think, I don't know. So I was going to say, like, once I came up here, I personally agree with veganism, and I think it's overall a much healthier way to live than, I guess, like, a lot of the standard American kind of diets right now.
That's not even like, see, thinking of it as a diet, that's not even going to be like categorically the case. Like, you can be really unhealthy as a vegan. You could have different formations of diets that are going to be really bad for you. So this kind of idea, oh no, veganism is like going to be healthy. You could just live off donuts.
Yeah.
It's this idea that vegans just eat vegetables, and it's like, mate, no, we eat sausage rolls.
Yes. It's tough for me to like understand how he hasn't been able to, like, with that statement there kind of shows this, like, that he hasn't been able to understand that, like, this debate, or discussion, like the points of like morality that have been brought up to, in a way, explain veganism. So it's like you would think that he'd like be closer to understanding what it is right now.
I guess it's because, like, in the moment, if people aren't all that engaged in a conversation, especially, they're not really like processing what's been said. Like a lot of the processing will happen afterwards, but yeah, like that's the hope, at least. That wow, Elle, a personal attack. Sorry if you're just on donuts. Sorry.
It just seems to be as if like it's as if he's just been asked some challenging morality questions. It's like, no, this was about veganism.
This is about veganism and how it applies specifically to you. So yeah. All right.
I think that it'll take time to implement, though, and it'll happen over time. But I think you'll see much, much higher rates of veganism over, like, say, in 2100 versus now.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if Ed's going to ask him if he will be one of those people who is vegan. Because people talk about, oh, there will be in the future these higher rates of veganism. Yeah. Are you going to be one of those people who does it? Like, who just gets on with it now? Yeah. Oh.
It's something that people, like, just especially in the younger generation, recognize as something that is immoral, and also just better for the entire world, the ecosystem, the animals, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think I hope you're right that we're going to see it continue to grow and people beginning to recognize the merits of it. I won't keep you for too much longer because I know your friends are here waiting as well. But interesting, if you wanting to work in tech, cell cultured meat is a big thing that's going to be, hopefully a game changer in the future. And so, I strongly believe as well, like you do, that things are going to move forward, hopefully quickly. And I suppose with that in mind, a question to kind of bring us slowly towards the end really would be to say, if we recognize that change is inevitable,
here we go,
why not be a part of that change?
Yeah, there we go.
I agree. And it's definitely something like I thought about. Previous, like, I didn't really understand, like, I guess, like, I kind of just like washed away veganism. I thought it was like a very extreme kind of thing. And like, I still consume dairy and like egg products, but I think about just meat, and it does have an impact. And I think, like you said, right, it's cruel to the animals. And if we have an opportunity to change, why not do it now? I think people are rooted in their habits, and it's interesting
when you ask someone a question, like, I don't know if you've experienced this in your outreach, Kenny, that you've been doing, but when you're outreaching to people, they talk a lot about what other people think and what other people do. And he's really, like, he's reflecting, even his hand movement, it's saying to me, I'm not part of this. Like
he's it's a way of, like, this is what I think. It's a way of, like, saying something positive about it. Like, you're saying something positive about it arbitrarily. Sorry for misspeaking about the issue, but not but you're not gonna do it. It's like, oh yeah, like that would be cool and whatever, but it's like you're admitting that it's a good thing, but from like a distance.
Literally, like the body language to me is so funny, because it's literally like
pointing at it.
Away. That's over there. That's got nothing to do with me.
That's a cool thing. That does seem good. Yeah.
Cool.
Take time to happen, but just taking that first step and trying it out, you'll eventually see that it's a little bit easier to implement than I think cooking the meat personally.
Yeah.
But also it's just, you feel better knowing that you're having a positive contribution to the overall ecosystem.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that sounds like the sort of thing I would say to someone. It's so true. It's I think it's about recognizing that there is this benefit that we can be a part of, and this change that we can be a part of. And I suppose we've spoken a bit about meat, and there's a wasp. We've spoken a little bit about meat, obviously. And okay, good. I was trying to be very vegan then, and so obviously we spoke about meat. Do you think that
I am so afraid of wasps.
Vegan
wasps are so scary. I let them do their thing, but away from me.
Wait till you see vegan camp out. It's just a bunch of vegans letting themselves be stung by wasps. Like bugs getting in their eye, not doing anything about it. Just like, oh no. Just fucking my eye, but I can't do anything about it because I'm vegan, haven't I?
The same concerns we've discussed, health concerns, environmental concerns, but also moral concerns, are they found in dairy and eggs as well?
Yeah. I think if you look at how the chickens are farmed, right? I'd say those are immoral, especially with the
it's about how they're farmed, not the fact that they're farmed in the first place. Yeah.
All the way to the end of the convo, man.
All the way. Yeah. I personally would have like you said, like wanted to nip that in the bud. And then every time he mentioned it, it'd be like, yeah, but it doesn't matter how they're treated before. Like that's just, arguably even worse, but it's already bad in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's okay to obviously acknowledge the fact that these animals are suffering. Like that is it's important to acknowledge why we have the screen there showing all the awful stuff. But when you have like the suffering thing on like his side and then here's our side and we're giving the suffering thing back, then it's just like, then there's just this like loop and it's all about the suffering, and we haven't introduced the like, oh by the way, the concept of it just completely being wrong to use an animal even if they don't suffer. Like that would have been good to have that. Like I feel like it would have been good for that to have entered his mind once.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cows are treated for milk. Yeah, I agree. It's immoral.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, well, we've kind of gone in a really nice direction where we've discussed a multitude of different things, and we've reached kind of this point of commonality where we broadly agree that what we're doing to animals is immoral. Change is inevitable, and we can be a part of that change. And then I guess it's just about being accountable. Saying, right, okay, I can do it now. I need to put my I need to walk the walk, and hold myself accountable to do that, and recognize that it's good to be able to do something that we agree is the right thing to do in the context of what's currently happening in our world, and being a part of something that we recognize is beneficial for change. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much. Of course,
There we go. That was the round off. So would you want to kind of leave your final comments on that video?
Yeah, back to the point of, I misspoke and used the word arbitrary. I meant in abstract. That's what I meant to say. When he was speaking about it in abstract, it was like he was able to acknowledge the guy was able to acknowledge that there's positivity, there's inherent positivity in the concept, but he didn't attach himself to it whatsoever, at all, and was like, it was fascinating his ability to have really hyper contradicting beliefs at the same time.
Yeah, I found it like it would have been really good to just get his kind of opinion on what he would think if like there was situations where like dogs were put in really good conditions and then they were just killed. Like I mean, just kicking a dog was bad enough for him. So I would have really wanted to push on that even more and be like, why do you live in this kind of realm in your mind where kicking a dog is bad, but doing all these other things and listing everything is not? That would be interesting.
And we have seen like, so I know for a fact that Earthling Ed will like present that in an analogy where they're the victim. I've seen him do that a lot, where it's just a case of like, what if you were just shot in the back of the head and didn't suffer?
Yeah, that's a good one to use.
Yeah, I agree. Just like injecting that idea into the conversation just one time for him to mull over would have been like, it seemed like it was important because it seemed like he didn't understand that, and that was the only thing really.
Yeah, well, is there any final comments, Kenny, that you want to talk about or anything? If not, then the stream is coming to a close.
Yeah, nice. Just want to say, like, really, really enjoyed streaming in this format. So far, like, we've only really done like IG live with Vegan FTA, and that's like a lot more basic. Like, this was so fun to like react to stuff with you live in this format. Can't wait for the next ones.
Yeah, we're going to do these once every 2 weeks. That's the idea, you know, because we want to cover some news. We've also got videos coming out about the news, so we're going to be focusing more on that. But yeah, like that is the plan, at least. So Kenny and I will be doing it, kind of giving our opinions. If there are any like outreach videos that you think we should react to, especially from smaller channels, then let us know, you know, contact us on like Facebook or Instagram or somewhere like that, and then we can have a look at something and watch it in the next one. But yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Kenny, for being here.
Thank you so much. Yeah, really, actually really had fun. Thanks, Elle. It was really good.
Yes, thank you. I've had fun too. I hope you're all well. And until next time, we'll see you all soon.
Have a good one, guys. Thanks.